Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dire Literary Series, Virtual Fridays. And tonight, from Pierian Springs Press, who published Annmarie O'Connell's book, Glock. Annmarie could not make it with us tonight, but we have Kurt Lovelace to step in and talk a little bit about Glock and do a little reading from it, and we'll talk to him about what it's like to be a poetry press. I know there's a lot of poets out there that are looking, and they're always looking for publishing in new presses. So here's what we got. And let me take you right to Pierian Spring Press. Here it is. There's the website, pierianspringspress.com, and they've published over 30 books in the past year, and that's pretty good for a new press. So maybe we can, and they do classic books, and they also do brand new voices. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kurt, and Kurt's going to honor Annmarie O'Connell's book, Glock, and then we're going to talk a little bit to Kurt. Take it away, sir.
Okay, can you hear me, Tim? I'm testing good here, okay. Yeah, Annmarie O'Connell, we met her online, actually, one of these type of Zoom events about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I think it was the Vala event that Penny Tyne runs, and I heard her on there, and in fact, I've been picking up authors that way. We hear poets read, we like them, approach the poet, engage with them, read more of their work, and see if we have a possibility of doing a book with them. We are trying to we do other things in our press too. We're doing creative nonfiction, which is essays. We're doing novels. Right now we're doing a translation of a novel from Spain, a contemporary novel, from Spanish to English, and we're publishing that in English language version here in the US. And all our poetry books, we'd like to do hardbacks, the dust jackets, and then do a paperback additionally, and no Kindle editions at all. We don't find ebooks to be of any serve any real purpose right now for a lot of our authors. So we are trying to diversify things. We also do some technical publishing, mathematics, that type of thing, more niche area. But we are always looking for poets, and our love is poetry. We're all writers. My co-publisher is Michael Sofranco. He has Iowa graduate, and he was well known in the poetry circles around the U.S. And so he's a great asset for just knowledge base and touching base authors and publishers and writers out there. But we're always looking for new work. And so Annmarie O'Connell is from Chicago, South Side Chicago. And her work is striking. It really is striking. It's very personal, gritty. It is truthful in a way that it just in your face, really, a lot of it. It's good that way. And she has many varieties of stanza structures and layouts she does. And I hope I do some justice to this. I wanted to be here tonight to hear her read. Her son is in the hospital and sick right now. He has actually contracted a virus. They don't know what virus yet, but he got it from school, obviously. So she has two younger boys. And so that's one reason she's not here tonight. And I do regret her not being here. I wanted to hear her read this herself. And her voice, certainly some of this poetry is very personal. Most all of it's very personal. So that being said, let me start with a poem from her Glock. This one is called Under Every Skirt is a Slip. Under every skirt is a slip. Under mine, he tells me, is a life of them when we drive right through Belvedere into the trailer park. All the other railroaders fast asleep. I'm trying to stay sober in this trailer with my AA sponsor. He was born 26 years before me on a table just like this. When he finally convinces me to have sex, I say my own name, like my very first word, Annie. I am not just some dumb girl, almost despicable on his nerves, but he knows I should be dead. So he gets up as if he really loves me, to peel the potatoes. And let me go on to something else here. Again, I really wish Annie were reading this. This is very, like, it's very intensely feminine, personal, gritty, and just I'd like to see her hear her take on this type of work of hers here. I lie in the road remembering my friend who took out a Glock and shot towards the bus unexpectedly. I still love him. Let me hear you say, I love him. He is 63rd Street, little boy heart starved for America, cruelty sprang in its pot. Who is unknown to cruelty? Even you in your perfect body, a hidden monster hungry. You ate no better. Pushing your tongue into a promise in the dark is easy. I remember running, leaps of nerve, taking off in an attack plane. Let me tell you, my eyes welling with spirit and rife. What they shout at me. Don't get too smart as I sharpen instead of sing. This poem is called The Cracked Veins of a Green Leaf Are Imperfect. The cracked veins of a green leaf are imperfect, but intentionally touching at exactly the right places. So they become almost beautiful all by themselves, just like in the way that man will never love you. In your rear view mirror, you see a stranger you have to love because he is sweating in his red bandana and tired from work. And you realize he really isn't a stranger at all. He catches you staring at his tired eye, and now he's another person who just doesn't like you. You can't help it if it reminds you of how we scatter ourselves out into the dark of our lives, begging to come back to an ocean. But there's no ocean here, just a man standing his own kitchen window by the kitchen sink as you drive down the road. Suddenly your heart is the dirtiest dish. You can't forget the sound it makes, clanging against the other dishes. $5 is all I have for the man begging in the street. He barely opens his hand, attempting to hide the sores on his palms with a quick mention of a storm hovering over, too heavy to begin. It's beating down on both of us. I tell him to open up so I can get a look at them, so crusted over and deep, like breathing, that I immediately start to feel like one is growing on my body. A little pulse shoots up my arm. But everything is not about me. It's about something like my AA sponsor told me. You can never bring two dogs in from the rain.
Hey, Kurt, how you doing?
Good, I'm here. I'm still reading. I'm just checking this one here.
I have one more, and then so we
Okay.
get
Okay.
that with you.
No problem. The woman muffled in me carries her own burdens. She has the split lip and a checkout line. Go ahead and look at her link card, her babies sounding like a rug being pulled out from under us. She opens the light and is nowhere inside him. A man is a larger boat. She is alone on the water. I'm not a Chinese painter. I am not salt. I am not silver or gold. I am not. The sound of my mother dying is names of people you might recognize. I am in her face. I cannot understand what she is trying to tell me. Finally is I love you. Finally is the song of your body playing too close. Finally is the word rising.
Wonderful. That is the work of Annmarie O'Connell from her book Glock that Pierian Springs Press published for her, and Kurt is the co-publisher of that press. So let me ask you a few questions. Did it seem, I know that you've mentioned it seemed kind of strange of you reading it, but like when you read submissions, do you sit there, do you get an image in your mind of the poet's life and what they're doing? And if it's, because as a writer, you always think, well, not everything I write is about myself, but as a reader and a reader of submissions, do you ever think that?
Absolutely. When I read O'Connell's complete manuscript, you get very much a sense of her life. Someone who went through drug addiction recovery, or Alcoholics Anonymous, whatever, all the different things she was dealing with, the younger ages, I guess. And now she's a mother, and she's going back and looking at her world. And Southside Chicago is a very specific urban environment, I assume, for her. And I myself had lived in my 20s in Adams Morgan in DC, when it was a very edgy kind of part of town and up and coming. And I think there's probably parallels from my own experience I see in her experience there with tough urban environments where we have to survive and kind of look the other way. And so a lot of that comes through in her work very clearly for me. And read other poets, we look at other poets, we've had manuscripts from there, totally different life occurring there. And I see that. It's very clear to me when you read a full manuscript, you get very much a sense of someone's life experiences comes through very clearly, I believe, Tim.
Yeah. Now, when you're doing I know as writers, we have daydreams about, winning various awards. As a publisher, do you have daydreams that like maybe one of the books you publish will get nominated for a Pulitzer or a National Book Award or something like that? Is that the goal?
That certainly would be nice. And what we have done from marketing side, we've actually submitted like the Glock for the National Book Critics Circle Award, other awards directly. As a publisher, we're allowed to do that. So we have publishers' accounts with lots of the awards committees there, and we submit books right to the judges, mail it right to the doorstep. So the National Book Critics Circle, I think 5 judges got to look at that book, Glock, and and chance to read it. And they're still looking at it. These things take time, and I kept reassuring Annmarie and telling her that it just takes time. Awards and things could take years sometimes. For even a past book could be awarded still something, and it takes time. It takes time to build literary reputation up. It just takes time.
I find it fascinating that you are doing hardcover books of poetry. I find it fascinating, and I find it very, very. I find it wonderful. Was that something that you thought of right away when you were thought about publishing books?
You mean the covers of the books?
Yeah, having them as a hardcover.
Oh, I wanted to be able to do what a traditional press did for starters. Even with our novels, we'll publish a hardback. Anything we do, we'll do a hardback first with a dust jacket, because I prefer it to be as high classical, traditional, high quality as possible product out there for us to feel, and we compete with the big boys, the big girls, presses out there, so that way. There's no reason not to do that. There's no reason not to. So it's doable. It's done within a price range. We can do it, and put a nice, a cloth back dust jacketed book out there, and get it out. Yeah.
So why don't Kindle books work for your press? Do you personally not like Kindle books?
Kindle. Well, the problem with digital books is pricing is one problem. Amazon tends to have specials if you're on Kindle. I think they give them away for free or 99 cents, and I'm like, no. There's no need for that. And poetry has a very niche market to begin with. So if we do something like a novel of someone who's already known, has a novel out, that would be a different ballgame entirely. It would be a different kind of marketing going on. Poetry, the same is Kevin. You've had Kevin Proofer on here. Kevin
Yes.
Proofer's with I think Copper Canyon or Grey Wolf. He's with a big press already. But if he were to come to us, I'd be wow. I know his book would sell. His name sells, so people know him as a known quantity. And as a young press, though, and a small press, we can move quickly, nimbly, take on people that other bigger presses would never touch. An unknown author, the novel, and that's a big joy for us to be able to do that.
So with that and taking that risk on the new person, what do you look for, say, in a poetry book or in a novel? Is there a certain edge that you're seeking?
Uniqueness of voice, I think, is a big thing, criteria in poetry. Uniqueness of voice, someone who knows who they are and what they want to say and has a very unique style of writing, a unique voice comes through. That's a big deal. My teachers personally have been like Tony Hoagland, Martha Serpis, Kevin Proofer, and Michael Sofranco were poetry teachers of mine, writing teachers. But I also studied creative nonfiction writing with Peter Tershi. So I got into that other style. I'm also a mathematician by training. So I am into nonfiction as well as fiction and well as poetry, all those genres. But unique as a voice, what always takes you, I think the reader, open a book up, first 3 pages of something, a novel, you immediately sense a presence, a voice, something that interests you, and you go and read beyond 3 pages.
Now you've got a co-publisher. Is there just 2 of you, or do you have readers, or do you have a small staff?
We don't have a permanent staff. We have 3 or 4 people we use as well and pay them to read extra material. And we have things coming in. 2023 is going to be a big year for us. We're taking off now, doing a lot more submissions. We might do a contest in which we're going to require a whole 3 or 4 people we have reading a lot of manuscripts. And we're looking at novels really, and even some short story collections, which is not done much anymore. Short stories seem to be a big gap missing right now, in my opinion, out there in the publishing world. And I love short story collections. I love them. I think they're fantastic things to read. You have flash fiction, but I want to see a short story, like 200 pages of short stories or 150 pages would be nice to see that, so.
Who has the tie-breaking vote between you and Michael?
I'm sorry?
Who has the tie-breaking vote? Say that you guys are on the fence. Does it have to be a unanimous opinion on who you publish?
We don't disagree about anything really, because we're very open-minded. I'm open to anyone convincing me that they're right when I think I'm wrong, right? And you got evidence to convince me, I'll change my mind. I'm very open-minded. I am. I'm very broad-minded that way. I take things like a mathematician. I approach it that I know that I don't know everything practically. So either as much as I know I don't know. So I take that approach to publishing in life, everything. Yeah.
You take it as a mathematician. Now, you also are a writer. So how does math influence your own writing?
In bizarre ways. A lot of them, when you get to a higher abstract level of math, it sounds like poetry. It sounds exactly like poetry. In fact, it is poetry. It's mental poetry. And I really, it's a shame that most people have no chance to get exposed to advanced mathematics, where we talk about cobordism and, higher dimensional string theory, knot theory, braid theory, braiding hair. That's how braid theory started. And just the description of the paper tiles, you read some of them, they're just fantastical sounding things. They sound like poetry. And the objects we study sound very poetical. We have all sorts of higher dimensional types of algebra working right now in various areas of math, and they all are exotic names to them. So, and they really do sound like roll off a list of there. They sound like poetry. So I don't know. One of my emphasis has always been personally, I'm into etymology, word histories, and back to Shakespeare's my kind of my always been my touchstone when I first got into English. My first language is German, so when I got into learn English in high school and they handed me Hamlet, I had no idea what this was. I said, "What is this? This is English." Yes, it is. It's modern English. And so I was shocked, and then I learned it, and I took my time, and I started getting into vocabulary and expanding my vocabulary to a point where I could read things like that and appreciate it. And then I realized the importance of the etymologies of words are really important. And so I started focusing on words individually and the histories, how they're all connected, and so on, so on, so on. So poetry is a very atomic thing. It's like the particle physics of literature is poetry. It's one way I've heard it described by numerous people as the particle physics of writing programs is poetry. That's why most people avoid it.
So studying under Tony Hoagland, what was he like as a teacher?
Fantastic. Tony was hard as nails on his students, and some reason he liked me. I'm older. I was like, we were almost same age. So, and we had a similar background kind of growing up. And so I immediately had some kind of weird compadre going on there with Tony. He liked me. I liked him, and we were saying maybe we could talk. He's a few years older, but not much. And his other students were students in their teens or 20s, and so and that was a big difference right there. The age made a huge difference between us, and backgrounds were similar, and we could talk about things. Tony was very rigorous, very, very rigorous, hard on himself, hard on everybody, writer. He wanted things to be good, really good, but he wanted people to have their own voice and so on. And he would whatever he saw you doing, he would find writers who were doing the exact opposite of what you did and give you their books to read. So you would get an experience of whole different styles of writing outside of your comfort zone. That's an important thing.
Yeah, I would love to hear some of your work, if that's okay. Maybe
Sure.
a couple poems.
Yeah, I could read a couple of things. Give me a second just to grab one thing here. It's very nice of you to ask. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
While you look, I'll just whistle. We'll avoid the dead air of the broadcast.
I said, thank you for asking. Very nice.
You're very welcome.
Um,
And thank you for stepping in. And, too bad Annmarie could not be with us, but her work just was really wonderful that you read for us. And thank you for that.
Yeah, I spoke to her earlier, and I was realizing her situation, predicament, and it wasn't good. So the hospital, their son taken on to school today, and at the hospital, and she wasn't expecting any of that to happen. So that was very uncomfortable for her. Let's see here. Okay, this is actually from a second book I'm working on already. I'm already working on a third book right now. I'm ahead of myself here. This is called a section from a book called Apophrades, which comes from Harold Bloom's a theory book of his. And it's the idea that when sometimes you can try writing in such a style of writing that you it was the old Athenian day when the people would evacuate their houses during the day and let the dead return into their houses and live in their home for the day, and the living would evacuate the house. So it's a return of the dead, it's called. And the idea is that you can write a poem. You would get obsessed with certain poetry when you're younger. Read a poem by Wallace Stevens like 10 o'clock. And so can you write in that style as an exercise? That's part of this concept here. So if you're familiar with Wallace Stevens' 10 o'clock, here's my take on 10 o'clock. It's just all my own. I'm leaning against play at 10 o'clock. The houses are ghosted with bleached, numinous nightgowns. None of them are peculiar, with hand-stitched hems of olive, or olive wheels with plum flesh, or plum sashes with saffron hoops. None of them are unimaginable, with blinking gummy bear buttons and glowing surcingled espaliers. Such sleepers are not going to float off on the wind pluck of guillotined anemones, yellow heads, carousels twirling in the sky, packed with loads of little people laughing. No, only here and there, docked and snoring by the pier, decrepit sailor, drunk and adrift in his boots, fetches fire by clutching it from the furs of tigers fleshing blood in burning weather. And here's a simple take on a poem that you're all familiar with, which is, you'll get it in a second here. It's called, In Case You Get This Note in Time. By now, you've eaten the cold, succulent peach I'd stashed back of the fridge, of which you probably thought I was saving for my breakfast. Forgive me, no doubt your mouth found it delectable, licking wet lips, so sweet and so poisoned. And are any familiar with Russell Edson? Russell Edson's poetry? This is called Toilet for Russell Edson. The dark matter of a few ravens flushes through the rain, alighting on the bathroom skylight. The toilet does not like me to sit on it. It gapes at me as I wash my hands. Taking off my legs, the things wrapping them, I sit and shit. The toilet does not like this. It is now angry. It coughs and spits at me as I flush. I look down his throat once before leaving. I close its open mouth. Its broad white chest rumbles as it fills slowly up. It gurgles at me its indigestion. Later, I return again to visit it. The toilet does not want me to sit on it. It tells me it is lonely. It pleads with me. Why do you keep feeding me crap when all I want is the warm touch of the warm skin of a friend's touch? Again, I take off my legs or the things wrapping them. I sit and shit. The toilet does not like this. When I try to get up, the toilet grips me. It will not let me go. I pull and pull and pull. I plead with the toilet, please, let me go. I use my left elbow to lever down the flush button. The toilet sucks and folds my whole body down into the long swan of its narrow neck. I see darkness. The last few splashes of water are stars. Another raven slushes through the rain. And maybe read one more here. These are all in the same kind of vein, you see. If you're familiar with Ed William Duffy's farm in Pine Island, Minnesota, ever heard that poem? Anyone? No? Oh, wow. Okay. This is called Skin Cancer at William Duffy's farm in Pine Island, Minnesota. Upwards my head, the bronze butterfly burns, dead on the black trunk, flapping like a leaf, flaming in the forest fire's thick smog. Down the waterless creek behind the globed house, wind-whipped cowbells bong to one another. Leather harnesses hung empty on drought trees. To my left, in a field rotting with putrid sunlight, the decades-old droppings of horses blaze up into charcoal bricks. I shelter in place as the night virals and turns itself on. On my OLED TV, a chicken hawk, pixels over, shining towards home. We have wasted this world.
Thank you very much, Kurt Lovelace, and thank you for bringing Pierian Springs Press to us. And once more, we're going to take a look at. Let's take a look at that. We're going to take a look at Glock, and here's the cover of Glock. And I would love to get to the press. There it is, and there's PierianSpringsPress.com, so you can find out about their products and their classics and their new work. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tim. Yeah.
And for those that are watching in the stream, thank you for watching. If you want to pop in here for the open mic, use the link, and that would be great. And next week is our last Virtual Fridays Dire series of 2022, and it is with it's a wonderful we have a wonderful pizza, I'm hungry. Wonderful pizza feature. We have a wonderful feature, so please come and check it out before we move to Thursdays in 2023.